We just got an absolutely massive leak regarding Resident Evil 4 Remake. A ton of information here, some pretty crazy stuff. So we're going to go through it. We're going to discuss about it all and all that good stuff here in this video. Welcome back, my friends, to the channel. If you guys are new around here, we talk about the games, play the games, best of both worlds. So be sure to stick around. If you guys do enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff so we can continue to grow the community. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like, helps the channel out. If you don't like it, it's completely fine as well. So let's dig through this, man. There's a lot of stuff. Now listen, before we get too excited, I know I'm already getting excited here. Before we get a little bit too ahead of ourselves, first things first, like I said, it's a leak, so it's not official, but the sources seem credible. Now, this is coming from Fanbyte, all of this information, and I'm going to quickly go through a little bit of highlights first. We're going to highlight some of the kind of points that they made at the beginning of the article, and then the other stuff is a little bit more chunky, so I'll throw screenshots up on screen for that. So basically, to start things off, they did say that the sources are both hopefully both trustworthy and accurate, and they go on to say that basically how the story goes is that Capcom, emboldened by the promising millstone of Resident Evil 2 Remake during its development, they said they started to work on matching a remake for Resident Evil 4, and by the time that I guess they were planning for Resident Evil 4 Remake to come out, it would have been 15 years old by the time of its release. And then they also go on to say things like the game is in development and it's set to be apparently revealed this year in 2022. So apparently, if these are all true rumors and leaks, we're going to be hearing some kind of announcement at some point in 2022. Maybe earlier in 2022, maybe later, I don't know. But anyways, that's basically what they said about that. They said, of course, if all goes according to plan. It was originally apparently developed by M2, which was a studio of former Capcom and mostly ex-Platinum Games developers that were also working on a Resident Evil 3 remake. But after some mixed responses to Resident Evil 3 remake, Capcom actually shifted the project internally and put the Resident Evil 2 remake's project leads on Resident Evil 4 remake. So that's kind of how that all went down. And now they get into the kind of juicier stuff, which is talking about how the remake actually adjusts the timeline. It's some pretty crazy stuff. So I'll throw the first one up on screen and let's just actually read word for word from it. So it says, from that foundation, Capcom is no longer looking for a strict scene-by-scene remake of Resident Evil 4, lauded though it may be. Now they're going to say, while the original title began with rookie cop turned Secret Service agent Leon S. Kennedy arriving in a European village at daytime and slowly gunning his way all the way through the bad guys over the course of 24 years, or sorry, not years, hours, 24 hours. The years would be a long time. The remake adjusts that timeline. In Resident Evil 4 Remake, the famous village introduction set piece takes place at night, as does a decent portion of the rest of the game. Interesting, very interesting. They're going to say the reason for this time change isn't arbitrary. So they say Capcom wants to adjust the tone of the remake into something spookier. Hey, I'm down for that. Taking direct inspiration from discarded Resident Evil 4 demos. Interesting. That footage, which was used in early GameCube preview reels, featured Leon wandering a lonely castle, getting possessed by black smoke, and fighting off living dolls. Oh, we had enough dolls in Resident Evil 8, but hey, I'll take it. As well as other ghostly manifestations. Some of this stuff made its way into the original game in other ways, but most of it, however, was left on the cutting room floor, and direct comparisons are being made during development of the remake. Super crazy, interesting stuff. Okay, hold on. We got a little bit more to talk about, but let's quickly pause for a second and discuss and dissect this section right here, okay? First things first, the whole idea of Resident Evil 4 Remake, apparently, according to these rumors and leaks, is to make the game spookier, to make the game crazier, to make the game a little bit more terrifying, especially when you're talking about living dolls now from the demos. I mean, dude, Resident Evil 8, I mean, we all know the house, right? We all know that one house. Am I right? It was freaky. It was not a fun experience, but it was a fun experience because we all like to get freaked out, right? At the end of the day, right? That's why we love these games. So to hear that they're going to be taking a lot of inspiration from the demos, which again, if you've seen the footage, it features all these different things that they discussed, you know, like I said, getting possessed by black smoke, a lonely castle, fighting off living dolls, other ghostly manifestations. I mean, it's freaky. So coupled it all together, it sounds like this is going to be quite the game if these rumors are true, and I really hope they are. Now, I don't know how classic Resident Evil 4 remake fans are going to feel about things changing. You guys can let me know. Or if you've played the game back in the day, are you for these changes, or are you kind of like iffy about how this sounds? Again, nothing's official. Nothing's official. All this could be just nothing. We could be talking about something that's never actually going to happen. But at the same time, a lot of these leaks and rumors are often true, but sometimes not. Anyways, so pretty crazy stuff there. But let's go ahead and read the rest, because there's still a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. So they go on to say that some changes to the story, such as giving side characters bigger roles and more screen time, are also planned. So they go on to say Capcom plans to flesh out other aspects of the game as well. One focus is Assignment Ada, which was a short campaign starring Leon's rival / sometimes lover and spy extraordinaire, Ada Wong. The GameCube version of this mini campaign did not feature much in the way of story, but allowed players to go through the game's areas as Ada while collecting Los Plagueis samples for arch villain Albert Wesker. It's largely been considered a non-canon bonus that does not make a lot of sense with the game's timeline. For the PlayStation 2 and all subsequent versions, except Resident Evil 4 VR, a campaign titled Separate Ways was added. This has far more plot and showed what Ada had actually been doing throughout the game. While it was fine, it lacked a lot of the panache, I don't know how to say that word, and polish that the main game had. For Resident Evil 4 Remake, M2 specifically is looking to expand on Assignment Ada and Separate Ways by combining each into one package. A more fluid and polished companion piece. Not every source we talked to could confirm whether this was in the main game or if it was planned as DLC, but most said it was looking to be fairly meaty, or a fairly meaty expansion to the source material. Wow. Okay, so they're taking these two kind of segments that were not really considered canon. They're trying to, combine them and expand upon them, flesh them out more. And again, judging from these various sources, and that's one thing I do want to mention too. At the end of this, they said not every source we talked to. So every source, right? There are multiple sources. This is not coming from like one source. This is coming from multiple sources. How many? I'm not actually quite sure. They didn't really specify how many different sources they're kind of, speaking to, but it seems as though, there's at least a number, it sounds probably there's more than two. I would say, 3 to 5 sources with the way they say, not every source. Is that, I don't know that that's terminology for just like one or two, right? Obviously not one, two, maybe. But the point being is that there's information coming from various angles, and it seems like it's very plausible. That said, we're still not done. There's actually one last segment. So let's throw this last one up on screen and read through it together. So they said earlier leaks that purported to show a Wesker's redesign for Resident Evil 4 Remake were not accurate. These were from another, now seemingly canceled Resident Evil project. I wonder what that could be. I have no idea. Capcom is hoping to announce a Resident Evil 4 Remake early in 2022, though the company is undergoing an historic stretch of silence over the last year, with many planned announcements seeing delays for development and marketing reasons. That time frame could be pushed back, especially as the company has seen fair success with shorter announcement to release cycles with the Resident Evil series as of late. As always, game development is fluid, so nothing should be considered locked in or guaranteed until the game's release. So again, things are subject to change, right? Even if these leaks and rumors are legit, a lot of these things could shift, right? When you're creating something, you're trying things out. This is why companies don't officially talk about this stuff. This is why this kind of information comes from leaks, because we don't, it's just not the kind of thing that we're gonna hear from the company, because obviously things are, like I said, subject to change. Things can shift at any point and all that stuff. So what's interesting, at least to say the very least, is the fact that, we have all these, rumored pieces of information that sound pretty crazy, and it sounds like they're really, really looking to make Resident Evil 4 Remake absolutely insane. Like it sounds like they're trying to make it way better than ever. you know, flesh out the story, make things make a little bit more sense, add a little bit more of a spookier vibe to it, which is really cool. I mean, I personally love the vibe of Resident Evil 8. I think a lot of people were comparing Resident Evil 8's vibe as well to Resident Evil 4. And so imagine that, right? Imagine they take that vibe and make it a little bit closer to Resident Evil 8, maybe even crank it up a little bit beyond 8, because, you know, maybe closer to that one house, you know, in Resident Evil 8, and you know, take it from there. So I don't know, whatever happens, we'll talk about it when you know, if it's official or if there's more leaks comes out. But I wanted to kind of talk about this really quick because it sounds really cool and really exciting, and I love the spookiness, man. I love the spookiness. I rather spooky, right? I don't know if that's like the right word for them to use. I hope it is, but to me there's a difference between straight like cutting edge horror and like spooky. You know, I feel like Resident Evil 8 was more spooky, and I feel like Resident Evil 7 is more horror. Does that make sense? I like more that spooky vibe where it's like it's creepy, but it's not like full-blown like terrifyingly horror like it's like 7 was. But everybody likes their own thing. That's just my personal taste. But let me know what you guys think about all this all in the comment section below. Just wanted to quickly kind of make this video to talk about that and whatnot. Like I said, we do a bunch of variety gaming content here on the channel. We like to talk about games, you know, talk about the news, and kind of add a little bit of a discussion element in there as well. You know, reaction videos, gameplay, and all that good stuff, and you know, reviews and previews and all that. So stick around for more, my friends, if you guys did enjoy this, and you can check out all the social links down in the description below as well if you guys would like to. And again, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments. Until the next one, my friends, game on. Thanks for watching.